Welcome to another broadcast of the Deborah Ruffini Show on the Artist First Radio Network. All past broadcasts are podcasts. Find them at artistfirst.com. And now, your host, live from England, here she is. It's Deborah Ruffini.
Greetings from England. This is Deborah Ruffini with another broadcast of the Deborah Ruffini Show. Today it is my absolute pleasure to be speaking with David Hayward, otherwise known as the Naked Pastor. David is a pastor turned artist who currently produces the most incredible, thought-provoking, powerful illustrations, which leaves us pondering on spiritual injustice and thinking things through for ourselves. David, what a delight to have you with us. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here on your show. I'm doing great. Thanks.
Oh, that's good. I hope you're fully clothed. Just think you're a naked pastor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's funny. It's I'm very modest and even shy. So yeah, the whole naked thing is more to do with me being honest and vulnerable and open about what I'm thinking and so on. So yeah, it's nothing to do with the clothes I'm wearing.
I was going to ask you actually what the motive, but that's a great name to give you to explain all of that, which is leaving oneself there open, and this is that's very good.
Like it was back in 2005 when I started blogging, and I was a pastor, like a clergy person.
Yeah.
And I was blogging, and there were so many. It was back in the heyday of blogging, and I wanted my blog to be unique and different because there were just so many pastors blogging at that time. And so I thought, I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be open and honest. I'm going to tell the truth about what I'm experiencing, what I'm thinking, what's going on in the church, what it's really like, being in the ministry. And so I chose the name Naked Pastor for that reason. That's
brilliant. That is, that's so, your work is so incredibly powerful. It's saddening and touching, and it's very clever to sort of sum up all that's going on and hang on, let's look at this. We need to pay attention. But it's more powerful with illustration, isn't it? Because illustration, even if someone's completely illiterate, hang on a minute, looking at this says it all.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I started my blog, I was writing long posts, and I was an artist at the time, so I would once in a while I'd share a painting of mine or whatever. But in 2006, I decided to try my hand at cartooning and see what happened, and they just took off. So I never looked back.
Yeah, I bet.
So I've been doing cartoons ever since then, every day.
Wow, and that's it must be pleasurable, but also rewarding to blessing so many people in the process with people that can relate so much to your work.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I do hope so. And I know it does. I hear from people every day who are, encouraged or validated or affirmed or supported with my work. I also hear from a lot of people who hate my work. And so it's fun, but it's not easy, and because I get quite a mixture of hate and appreciation.
In that sense, in both responses, you must know you're doing the right thing to sort of, because the people that you bless are that, I'm definitely doing the right thing, but the people that feel uncomfortable, let's explore this. That's interesting. But that's really interesting. So, much of your work it's not that we're being mean against Christians or theists, but we're being mean against not being mean, sorry. We're being realistic about the bullying or the attacking, the judgment.
Yeah. I think the driving factor for me is I really want the freedom to explore and express myself.
Yeah.
And I think everybody else should have that freedom as well.
Mm.
So my work has that sort of a two-edged aspect to it, where on the one hand, I'm really for people having the freedom to be themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I criticize and come after anything that wishes to suppress that. So if you want to be free, you're going to love my work.
Yeah.
If people need to be controlled, then you're not going to like it.
That's interesting. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fascinating. So those that, what, you get hate mail, or just like, you bad man, you're doing the wrong thing, not representing God? What sort of, is it quite aggressive response you get?
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's very aggressive. Especially when I go after the sacred cows of evangelicalism or right wing kind of ideology.
Mm.
I think the top agitators in my work are when I support feminism, when I support the LGBTQIA plus people, or when I go after spiritual abuse in the church, or if I go after theology, the Bible, the church, whatever that is anti-human. And I get a lot of kickback for all of that. Like, I was just talking with my daughter this morning. I posted a cartoon a while ago of Jesus loving a transgender sheep.
Oh.
So it's the sheep. My sheep cartoons are very, very popular.
They're great, yes, I love them.
Sheep. Yeah, this particular sheep has the colors of the trans flag, and the blue, pink, white, and I was trying to explain. There's hundreds of comments on there, and it's a full-time job to monitor what the comments on there, and I would say 90% of the comments are hateful.
No, really?
Oh yeah, like it's overwhelmingly, like I'm just a friend of trans people, right?
Yeah.
And I know trans people. I am not a trans person.
Yeah.
And the amount of hatred and invalidation and discrimination and marginalization that they experience must just be beyond belief. Because I'm just as me, as a friend of trans people, experiencing exhaustion just trying to filter out the hateful comments that certain cartoon got.
My goodness. And you know what? That takes something because it's one thing to be passionate about something when we are in a certain category, but for that takes great strength and passion to not be part of that community but still stand up for it. Reminds me of, what was that there was a quote, wasn't it? They came for the something but I didn't stand. What was that? I'm trying to think what it is. And it's almost like they came for this category and I wasn't one of them, so I didn't do anything. And then they came for the Jews, and then I can't think what it is. And then at the end of it says, and then they came for me and there was no one to stand up for me.
Right.
And it's almost like, that's quite a, crikey, what a heart of compassion you have.
I have trans friends and gay friends and bi friends and so on. And that alone is enough for me to say, hey, you belong at the table just like anybody else does. So and hopefully I would fight for my friends' rights. And but on top of that, for people who discriminate against LGBTQ people or whatever, to me, exposes a gross misunderstanding of what love is.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so that's why I go after it. It's not just because, hey, you're attacking my friends. That's enough. But on top of that, that's a gross misunderstanding of what love is.
Yeah.
And so that's why I go after it, because the church seems to be willing, for example, the church seems to be willing to draw a line in the sand there and die on that hill right now. And I think that betrays a really sort of sick understanding of what true love is. So I'll just keep banging on this drum to hopefully get some people to change their minds and some systems, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, good on you, David. Yeah, I think it's essential, isn't it? And I find this. You often come to mind because I'm maybe too involved in like apologetics groups. There's on Facebook. There's some. I don't know whether you've seen some of the wars breaking out on these things, and it's quite typical to sort of, I don't know, there'll be some post on there and, actually, yes, a typical example, someone posted, I think I mentioned to you a little while ago, is Pride Month, is it a bad month for Christians? And, and I think I commented, and it's almost like quite often it's this one particular thing that they sort of swarm on like vultures, and I think one chap responded to one of my posts, and I was just saying, is it is normal sin okay, or is it just gay sin that's if we sort of reset the goalposts here for and he didn't take kindly to that, and he'd taken the trouble of going into my Facebook profile, seeing that my status was single, and he actually put on there, that just goes to say, my surname's Cuppers on there, about this Cuppers woman, she's living a selfish life because she's single. Is that the best he can do? It's almost like, if he probed a bit further, he could tell that I was gay, but he couldn't. But it's almost like, let's just attack anyone who doesn't agree with our theology, and I wasn't even at that point defending gay rights, which of course I do, but it's Christian bullying is horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible, because what I see happen is that as they redefine the words, like, yes, I love you, but love won't let you stay the way you are. I've got to change you.
Yeah.
That's what true love is. And if you keep cornering them, then they say, well, it's not me, it's God. God and the Bible say it. So, it's like trying to nail gel to a wall.
Yeah. It is. And
very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's always amused me. I don't know how you feel about this, David, but sort of like when, at the moment, I'm not involved in the church, but for various reasons, but it would always tickle me how someone's like, right, God has given me a message for you. It's almost like, so have God and I fallen out in the playground then, and he's not talking to me, but he's given you a message. And it's always something of judgment, isn't it? The Lord has, can I call you sister? The Lord has told me something. That's a bit odd.
It's I don't have a lot of respect for apologetics.
No.
Because I think most of the time they just love arguing and trying to make themselves look smarter than everybody else. And my experience of arguing is that it's a waste of time. And most apologists aren't interested in changing their mind. They're more interested in changing yours.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I stay away from that stuff.
I don't blame you. The more I look at your work, because it features on various, one of the platforms is spiritualabuse.org, I think. They post a lot of your stuff. And that got me into thinking. I don't know what you feel about this, David, but I don't know, something sort of hit me with looking at the depthiness of your work. I wonder if there's two different types of Christians, or maybe various types, almost like, and you see this in sort of street preaching. I don't know what it's like in the US, but certainly in the UK, it's almost like they're assuming everyone they're speaking at, not to, but at, is unsaved, apart from anyone they know anyone they happen to know that is saved. But it's also, it seems to be lots of people, and this is going to make me sound judgmental here, but it strikes me that there are many Christians who sort of almost like say the magic salvation prayer, so that they can be that I'm God's best friend, and now I have the right to go down and question your salvation and tell you that you're doing wrong and you're not walking right with the Lord. And then you get the more humbler Christians that recognise we're all in the same boat with sin, and we've all fallen short, we all screw up, but it's our job just to love. We're the same as everyone else, but let's just love. And it's so, to me, it's so evident. There's these two, but then you get the mean ones that somehow expect people to come into church. Well, you wouldn't choose to be in a playground full of bullies.
Right. Well, that's I hear from a lot of people, like when I draw cartoons about abuse or whatever, and there's a lot of victim blaming going on, like, well, it's an abusive church, then why did you go? Or like, if he was an abusive husband, why did you marry him? Or if your parents were abusive, why did you stay at home? Or if your boss was abusive, why did you keep your job?
Yeah.
And that to me is just an ignorant thing to say. You don't really understand the complicit kind of almost necessary complicity that has to take place sometimes, like, because people long for and deserve community, and it's hard. It's really, really, really hard to find a church that isn't abusive. It's and women with an abusive husband. Have you read anything about how difficult it is for a woman to leave an abusive husband, or for children to leave an abusive home, or to you can't just quit your job because your boss is abusive, because where are you going to go? Where are you going to get paid?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this. It's a dilemma for a lot of people who want community, who want to participate in church, who want to gather around a common set of spiritual values with others, but and this is the necessary evil sometimes, is they have to put up with abuse in order to have that.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's common sense, but to a lot of people, it's very judgmental. Yeah.
And it's almost like saying, the first cause is okay, but blaming the person for the effect of that first cause. It's it's not as...
victim blaming and gaslighting is very popular techniques to shift our eyesight away from the cause of the problem.
Yeah, isn't it? Absolutely awful. What was the initial illustration you drew, David? Can you remember? And what sort of, what did you feel most strongly about? I thought, right, I need to put pen to paper, and get this down. Do you remember what that was?
You mean the process of me coming up with a cartoon?
Oh, sorry. Was there anything initially that you thought, right, okay, this is not good. I need to express this injustice, or whatever it was, sort of your very first drawing? Yeah.
Yeah, so my ideas just come to me, like I spent 30 years as a pastor, and I've also served pastors.
Okay.
And spiritual leaders. So I've been on the inside. I know all about it, and part of the system. And so I just have a lot of stories to tell, and I have a lot of gay, trans, bi, etc. friends. I have a lot of women friends who are feminist. I've been to seminary, and so on and so forth. So, I just, my mind's just packed full of ideas, but it might be when I'm running or exercising or doing something when an image will pop into my head, and
Okay.
it illustrates perfectly what I'm trying to say.
Wow.
And I just love that because, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And
Yes.
I think a really good picture is worth like 10,000 words. And
absolutely.
so I really do endeavor to draw a really good picture that, like you say, delivers a punch in a split second. And, you don't have to read 1,000 plus words to get what I'm trying to say. It just, in a split second, you see it and you can't unsee it,
Yeah. That's great, and that is more power, especially someone like me who's got slight dyslexia. So to look at it, some people are more visual, aren't they, than read and take things in.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I read a lot, but art moves me. Like, I just love art, and so I think it's a powerful way to communicate and to provoke change.
It is. Yeah. I agree with you. I've got some of my laptop here, technical whiz that I am. I say that in jest. Some of my favourite. So I like the one. It's so brilliant how you tackle so many issues, and also, sorry, the one I saw more recently with was it the one with the rainbow sheep or the trans sheep with playing with Jesus on the swing? That was that was cute. I like that. Is that a fairly recent one?
Yeah. It's I still have the original drawing of that. In fact.
Oh.
I drew that like last year, I think.
Oh, did you? I might have to.
I just love. Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And I think that's probably what Jesus would have been. It's, I think, and by what we read of Jesus in Scripture, he sounds like he was fun.
Well, whether you believe in historical Jesus or not, or whether you believe Jesus is the savior of the world or not, like all that aside, what I am trying to do is offer different perspectives to people who are struggling with the church and with evangelical theology and so on, and with this sort of a judgmental, controlling, discriminatory theology against these marginalized people. And so if I can show Jesus, having fun with a trans sheep, and them hanging out and being happy, and there's no judgment, there's just joy, then that actually changes people's minds. I've actually heard from people saying, you know what, this is the kind of Jesus I love, and I feel really, really happy, and thank you so much for drawing that, and so on. So it's a powerful way to provoke change in people's minds and in their hearts.
It is, very much so.
Yeah.
And even this really touched me. Now, I wouldn't call myself, obviously I believe women's rights, but I'm not a staunch feminist, but I love this. I'm looking at it right now. It's the three women on the left and the bunch of guys says, so ladies, thanks for being the first to witness and report the resurrection, and we'll take it from here. That's brilliant. I like that.
That's funny. I have that on a mug, and I just sold several of those mugs this morning on my website. So it is a very popular cartoon of mine.
I can imagine.
Because basically that's what happened. The patriarchy took control of the narrative, and if you read between the lines in the scriptures, you see a very high involvement of women and influential involvement. But men took control of the narrative, and the patriarchy rules to this day. So I love challenging the patriarchy. And my goodness, a lot of people get upset over that.
Yeah, and then again, it's because they feel uncomfortable within them. It's making them feel and that's good to actually stir emotions in there. Think, why do I actually feel uncomfortable about this? That's really good, isn't it? I think that's quite powerful to get people to think. You're very good at getting drawing people to this. That, oh yeah, we need this, and then the others. Hang on a minute, why do I feel uncomfortable? So you're very clever in all this. It's really good. It's so brilliant.
Well, I wish more people did ask themselves that question, but unfortunately, I don't see it a lot where people say, why am I feeling uncomfortable? What I see mostly is, I'm uncomfortable, therefore it's wrong, and I'm going to attack this person. That's what I see most of the time. But I do see it once in a while where people are like, why am I feeling uncomfortable right now? Maybe I do hate women.
Yeah.
Look at that. I need therapy, whatever.
Yeah.
It happens once in a while, but not as much as I'd like.
So do you think maybe the other people, that their hearts are so hardened that I just can't question anything else. I've been programmed from the pulpit. I've been programmed by myself. I don't know. Maybe it is that. Yeah. That's what I say. And
when you
sorry, no, go ahead.
When you like on Twitter is just a horrible place now. It's become a horrible place.
Has it? Yeah.
If a woman posts a pro-woman post, I just can't believe the amount of men that attack that woman and that post and are exposing without shame their fragility. It just alarms me. Like, man, can't you see how fragile you look by trying to defend the patriarchy and put women down and trying to control women and make women do and dress and think and act the way you want them to? Like, the fragility of so many men out there is just like alarming. It's alarming. But too many men aren't willing to look inside and say, why do I feel threatened by this? And take the next step to educate themselves.
Do you think sometimes it takes life experiences in order to learn something or think, oh crumbs? I remember once seeing, it was online somewhere, and it was some woman, and she'd said something about, I was always, thought I would never give birth to any gay son or daughter, and I was always this and always that, and preaching against the whole gay thing. And then she said something like, and then God gave me a gay kid and told me to grow the hell up, or something. It was something like that. And I thought, I wonder if sometimes we can be absolutely certain, because life is full of we do change our minds and change our opinions, and quite often it's because certain things happen to us. We think, I can't believe I used to think like that. I can't believe and I just wonder if a lot of people just haven't got there yet. Or they're stubborn.
I do agree. I do agree that change is often only comes about if it's provoked. So there's some kind of trauma, like in life, a life experience, or maybe you're reading a book and all of a sudden, and this has happened to me, all of a sudden everything you've ever believed just comes crumbling down. And that kind of intellectual trauma or emotional trauma or spiritual trauma, I think often change is only provoked by trauma most of the time. Yeah. And so I've had friends in the past saying, my kids will never be gay, but then when one of their kids comes out, they change their minds.
Yeah.
Because they have to, or, all Muslims are evil, and then they are co-workers with a Muslim and discover they're a much nicer person than they are.
Yeah, yes.
And, and so on, and you're forced to change your mind or live in this constant state of denial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. It's we need more people to. We don't wish trauma on anyone, but if that's what it takes, then that is that's what. Another illustration here. I like this one. It's the people inside the church building, and they're pointing at some woman leaving. There's shame on you for leaving, and she turns around and she says, "No, I'm done with shame, which is why I'm leaving." That's good. Yeah. I like that one. Sorry, I'm just going through it. Sorry, I
like that one too.
That's good.
Because the kind of church culture that I grew up in and even was a part of as a pastor was shame was one of the most popular tools in the toolbox for manipulating and controlling people and keeping the community organized and manageable. Shame is a very powerful weapon. So when I walked away from the church, I said, "That's it. I'm done with that." And it's true story. Yeah.
Well, so let's go. If you're okay, we'll talk about. So is that why you you left the church? Is that right? Is that because of just the pulling your hair out, basically?
Well, I had been serving as a pastor for about 30 years, and then I like I said before earlier in our conversation, my driving force is I need to feel free to grow and to be me. And I was a pastor of a wonderful church, a lovely community, but I was growing in a way that I noticed some people were starting to feel uncomfortable, as well as head office was contacting me saying that there were letters of concern and people saying what's going on with David Hayward with his blog, and and then I knew that my time was up, that I wasn't going to be able to keep growing in the direction I was growing in without it having consequences. And sure enough, it came to a head in 2010 in March when I realized, I've reached the edge of the box and I can't grow anymore without really upsetting people, upsetting my denomination, and maybe even harming this church. And so we came to an agreement that we were no longer compatible theologically, and I went my way and the church went its way.
That must have been hard.
Yeah, it was. It was hard, very hard. But it had to be done. That's what, I think that's why a lot of people truncate their growth, is because it is hard. The hard choices have to be made. And, but it's something I had done before. I had left the ministry once before, or a couple times before. And so this wasn't a new experience for me. But this time I knew this was the last time. And this one was really, really going to be difficult because of, it was our community, our friends, my income, my sense of meaning and purpose in life, and so on. So it was a devastating decision, but looking back now, I'm glad I made it.
And it's true, isn't it? As one door closes, another door opens, and a fantastic new chapter started for you. So thank God I don't mean that sounds disrespectful, but thank God it did come to a close. So blessing people.
It took a couple years. I was free falling for like 2 years. It was really, really difficult. I had no idea what was going to happen, but I'd seen it happen before, where eventually the ground rises to meet your feet, and it took a while, but it did happen, and now I'm doing what I absolutely love doing, and I feel I'm doing the right thing. So it worked.
Oh, amen for that. Yeah, crikey, you absolutely are doing the right thing, even in the face of all the, and just the whole thing about, Jesus was persecuted, and it's in a sense can't keep a good man down. That's what I'd say to you, lovely man. Can't keep a good man down. I tell you, one thing I really love. So I'm on a roll with these. The pearly gates picture, and there's a guy pointing and says, "I'm not going in there with all those homosexuals." And there's God at the gate saying, "Who said you're going? Who said you're going in there?" I like that. And the brilliant thing is, you're very funny as well. There's one thing to do like a hard hitting thing, and then like a fun thing with it, like Jesus on the swing but also fun. A lot of it is quite sharp wit, isn't it? That's funny.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I try to be funny, but there's sometimes they're just poignant or angry or whatever. But that is one of my. I think that is one of my funny ones. There's another one I have of a man at the pearly gates, and Peter's there, St. Peter, and he's looking at the book, and St. Peter says to him, "It says here you're an atheist."
Right.
And then the guy says, "Was."
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I must look.
That cartoon.
That's funny. I must look that one up. I haven't seen that. I've seen lots of them. This one's funny. So this tickled me pink. Again, outside a church, you've got the rainbow sheep, and he's saying, with a white. Sorry, I'm saying that obviously you know your own work. I've said to the audience. I have to put this on before I go in. He's little into the church. His white coat. Yeah. And then there's a dark Jesus saying, and I have to put this on with the white, holding a costume with a white white face and blonde hair. And it's true, isn't it? It's all these pictures of Christ that are.
Yeah.
It just
I think that's funny, but it's also kind of sad, isn't it? That nobody can be themselves in the church, not even Jesus.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it? And it's all, and I think, and some of the people also that sort of like newcomers will think, I don't really. People in the congregation thinking, he looks a bit scruffy. I don't really want to see. Think, crikey, what do you think Jesus may have looked like? You know, if we read he was homeless or something. Is there something in the scripture where it says he was homeless? And you think, crumbs, you know, it's a. And I'm looking at another one where it says lots of people in the church, and there's a woman walking away, and the crowd are saying, just a warning, we've so conditioned you that if you leave, it will absolutely kill you. Yeah. That's true. We've conditioned you that if you leave, it will absolutely kill you. But she's walking away regardless, and they're just so. I'm just amazed how people can take offence to this sort of thing. But this is really going on, and it's you know, how can people?
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, most of my cartoons are actually. Snapshots from my life. Like I'm not just pulling these out of thin air. I had somebody this morning. My cartoon today. Like I don't know if you know this, but a couple of months ago, my Naked Pastor Facebook page was stolen.
Oh yes, I saw a YouTube clip. I think was it? Yes. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, and I had 100,000 followers there, and it got hacked, and I had people telling me, this is God's judgment on you because you're a heretic. And anyway, so now my cartoon, the next frame is, hey, everybody, I got my Facebook page back, but now there's crickets, right? There's nobody's. How do you turn that around? So.
That's.
So, like, I've had people saying, nobody calls you a heretic. I'm like, oh my God. How many times a day do I get called a heretic? You have no idea. But,
crikey. Yeah. Does that, I mean, it's a silly question, but does that get you down? That must be confusing to be sort of like, have all that horrible stuff and then the praise. How does one cope with that? Completely reverse emotion, yeah. Yeah,
I used to be very sensitive to all that stuff, but I don't know if it's just time and my skin is thickened, or if I just sort of look on them with some kind of almost pity, like for them to, like obviously, when the guy says, you're lying, nobody calls you a heretic. Well, he's just wrong. He doesn't understand. You know, he's making assumptions. And so for me, it's kind of like water off my back. I'll tell you what does get me down, though, is the level of cruelty that I see in believers, some believers. It just you know, astounds me. I just can't believe people would be that cruel and really want to see people suffer and be unloved and even be executed, you know.
Oh, yes.
So it just alarms me. I just can't believe But this is one of the things I think, though. I believe people find a theology that justifies the way they feel and think.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think people, but it becomes circular. So we gravitate towards teachers that tickle our ears, but we like what we hear because it agrees with what we feel and think. And then it becomes circular where it just sort of continues to feed itself until we become more and more like we want to think and feel. And so I think somebody who is hateful will find a theology that's hateful, and it sort of validates the way they feel, justifies their feelings of hatred, and that therefore they can come across as completely cruel and feel completely justified for their feelings, and that it's a good thing.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think
so.
And I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was back in COVID threw everything out. 2018, I think it was, or 19. I had the pleasure of speaking with a guy called Boz Chividjian. You're familiar with Boz?
Right, yes.
Founder of Grace.
Yeah, he's an expert in spiritual abuse.
Yeah, isn't he? He's fantastic, isn't he? So for the audience, Grace is godly response to abuse in the Christian environment. Is that right? And I remember in the broadcast he said something about the best witness is to tell people, can't say, the best witness is to tell people you're a Christian, then not be a jerk about it. And I thought that just sums it up, doesn't it? Yeah. Just don't be an idiot about it. And also, I don't know, oh my goodness, David, I don't know how you feel about this, but and I've got to stop watching them because it doesn't do you any good, does it? But there's various, I think I'm allowed to name those. David Lynn, I think it's Pastor David Lynn, and I haven't got enough diazepam to watch him really, but he's got this YouTube channel, and basically a street preacher, and he goes out and he's obsessed with homosexuality. He's obsessed with the trans issue and homosexuality, and he's got no interest talking to divorce. But I'm not saying that he should attack divorced people or this person or that person, but he's just stuck on same-sex attraction. And I think that's interesting that he's so obsessed with that. Anyway. But he will then go out, provoke people, and then he'll upload the clip of the argument or whatever on YouTube, and he'll title it something along the lines of, "Oh, look at how this dreadful heathen treated me." And I think, but you went out and verbally battered them.
Yeah.
And there's so many of these people doing this, and you think they're not. It's all about getting praise, and oh, poor old me. And you think this isn't being the victim, yeah, and they're not doing it for the Lord at all. And the amount of people they're turning away, and then thank God for people like you that are doing your work and saying, no, come on, it's okay, look at my stuff. And this is brilliant because we need you for all sorts of things, but especially when I just think it's so sad how if this is all people are introduced to of Christ or theology, or no wonder they don't want to know, and then we're going to say, oh, they're going to hell. Well, I don't think anyone is.
That whole victimhood thing is so it's so transparent to me. And I'm in Canada. I live in Canada, but
okay.
And we see in the United States, for example, where Christians, there's a whole like the right wing. Side of Christianity imagines themselves as being persecuted when they're the ones banning books, marginalizing people, putting down women, racism, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, the most racially divided hour in the week is 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and yet they are the ones who feel persecuted and victimized. So it's astounding that they think that way. It's like this man goes out, provokes people to respond defensively because they're being attacked, and he's the victim.
Yeah.
So.
It's nuts, isn't it? It's just completely. I'll say, how can they not see this? But do they see it? But they just want to do it anyway. I don't know. I mean, I just. Yeah. And it happens too much. And what
pathetic, actually. Yeah.
it is. And another thing, I don't know how you feel about this. I was intrigued to ask you what your thoughts on this. I don't think we covered this last time we spoke. But I don't understand how, and this is no attack on Christians, but things like sexual orientation or belief is not something we have control over. So if someone said to me, do I believe, I don't know, there's life on other planets, I probably, but I just don't know what. I've never really thought about it. I don't have any reason to think there is or there isn't. There probably is, but it's not something I have any choice in. Disbelief is not the same as rebellion. So it's very strange how lots of Christians or theists think that God is all loving and all knowing and knows each one of our hearts, but he's going to punish us in this eternal torturous pit for not coming to this conclusion. That I've never understood that.
Yeah.
It's I mean, fair enough. Sorry.
I used to believe that, when I was much younger, but gradually that faded away. But I just think those kind of theologies were invented to control people with fear. And
do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I think I'm coming round to. And sometimes it can be very difficult to. So I grew up in the church. My dad's a retired minister. He was my minister. And sometimes you don't know what is your genuine belief and what you've been programmed to believe. And sometimes it's like, what do I feel? What do I really feel? What is really coming from me? And do you know what hits me? There's we have like a general store called B&M. Like you've probably got, I don't know if Walmart would be your equivalent maybe. And there's from my house to B&M, which I love wandering around B&M. And there's a bridge, and it's called Burfield's Bridge. And every time I go over that bridge, I think of Jesus. Okay, and here's why I think of it, because I think, right, I'm really grateful for Burfield's Bridge because it's the only way that can get me to the B&M shop. But I have no idea who designed the bridge. I've never really thought about who designed the bridge, but I'm just glad that it's there. And I think a lot of people maybe a silly example, but a lot of people, it's not that they don't want to know Christ, they don't want to know God, but they've just never really thought about it. They've never had reason to. It's just been, well, none of us know, do we? And I think, how could God be angry with that? He may be sad, but to be angry and revengeful and I don't know,
Yeah, it's kind of like painting God out to be a horrible, tyrannical narcissist,
Yeah.
If you don't love me, I'm going to torture you.
Yeah.
So.
Or even if someone, I mean, let's say someone, I've personally never known someone who does believe the gospel, but they say, no, it's not for me, and I'd love to spend eternity in hell, thank you very much. I've never known one of those people. But even no one in their right mind would believe that and want to go to hell. So, I just think, well, even if someone did believe but would rather live their own life, that would still be a mean God to. Maybe he'd be quite upset, a little bit angry, but that's quite a severe punishment. So I think it's just it doesn't add up, does it?
No.
And I think it's but no, I just think it's amazing and mind-blowing stuff what you're doing, and I can't encourage you enough to keep on. And has there ever been anyone, so I'm just intrigued, anyone that's sort of been angry with you, been mean, and then they've come back and said, oh, David, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have, I've been looking at your stuff, has that happened as yet? I hope it will happen, but...
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's a few people who come, said, I used to really hate your work and hated you, but, they went through their own kind of deconstruction of their beliefs, and now they appreciate my work. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. And
encouraging.
Great, and that means that you're doing your job well. You're doing your job incredibly well, and I can only hope and pray that you will get more of that, and we will come to, or even in history, we'll look back and think, okay, we needed this, and it's hard to believe. It's hard to know how the world is going to move on. All the time we're stuck in one era, isn't it? But I'm, just hoping it will get like that. But we need people like you to speak up for minorities and just anyone that's going through it, really, and to make Christ appealing, make God appealing, make the church appealing. We need people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But, thank you.
Oh, you're a good chap, David. I'm so proud of you. I'm very proud of you, and I
Thanks very much.
Can't thank you.
That means a lot. I appreciate the encouragement.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm just hoping more people will, come to recognise your work and to love it and to think things through for themselves and know that they are loved and God loves them, and to make it more appealing. And so, is it okay if we leave? So you have a website, don't you? Is it right to leave the link to your website on the homepage? Would that be okay?
Yeah, it's just nakedpastor.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And from there you can find me all across all social media. I'm everywhere, so I'm easy to find.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great. I'm glad about that, because we lots of people need to find you, so that's good news. But,
thanks so much, Steph.
Oh, well, thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and to the audience tuning in, God bless and lots of love.